The sight made Kai curious. He stopped for a moment and stared at the smoke, wondering who could possibly be out there alone. Even though something felt wrong, his curiosity was stronger than his fear, so he carefully moved deeper into the woods. After walking for several minutes, Kai finally saw it. A small wooden cabin hidden between the tall trees. It looked old and forgotten, almost like no one had lived there for years, yet smoke was still rising from the chimney. Kai stood still, staring at the strange cabin. The windows were broken, the wood looked rotten, and the place seemed abandoned. But if nobody lived there, then who had lit the fire inside? The silence around the cabin made everything even more unsettling. For a few seconds, nothing happened. The forest was completely silent. Then suddenly, the old wooden door began to open by itself with a slow creaking sound. Kai stepped back in fear as the darkness inside the cabin became visible. Kai looked around nervously before stepping inside. The cabin was dusty and filled with old furniture, but in the corner the fireplace was burning brightly. It felt impossible. The room looked abandoned, yet someone had clearly been there moments ago. As Kai moved farther inside, he noticed a wooden table in the middle of the room. On it sat fresh bread, warm soup, and beside the food was a folded handwritten note. The food looked as if it had just been prepared. With shaking hands, Kai picked up the note and slowly unfolded it. Written in dark ink were only 4 words: "Leave before sunset." Kai felt a chill run through his body as he looked around the room again. Just as Kai lowered the note, he heard a sound from above him. It was slow, heavy footsteps coming from the second floor. Someone, or something, was walking upstairs, even though the cabin had seemed empty moments before. Kai froze where he stood, staring at the ceiling as the footsteps continued above him. Each step was slow and deliberate, making the wooden boards creak loudly. Whoever was upstairs seemed to be moving directly above him. Kai wanted to run out of the cabin immediately, but something inside him pushed him forward. His fear mixed with curiosity, and before he knew it, he was slowly moving toward the staircase leading to the upper floor. Every step on the old wooden stairs creaked beneath Kai's feet. The higher he climbed, the darker the cabin became. His breathing grew faster, and the strange silence upstairs made the fear in his chest even stronger. When Kai reached the top, he saw a narrow hallway and one closed door at the end. A faint, warm light was glowing from underneath the door. The footsteps had stopped, and now the entire upper floor was completely silent. Kai slowly reached for the handle with trembling hands. He hesitated for a second, then pushed the door open just enough to look inside. Warm yellow light spilled into the dark hallway as the room slowly came into view. Inside the room, a little girl was sitting alone on a wooden chair facing the wall. She wasn't moving at all. Kai stood frozen in the doorway, confused and frightened, wondering why a child would be alone in such a place. Without turning around completely, the little girl slowly moved her head toward Kai and whispered in a calm but chilling voice, "You shouldn't be here." The words were soft, but they filled the room with fear. At that exact moment, a loud bang echoed through the cabin. The front door downstairs slammed shut so hard that the walls shook. Kai jumped in fear, realizing that whatever was happening inside this cabin was far from normal. The little girl slowly lifted her hand and pointed toward the window. Her face was pale, and her voice trembled as she whispered, "He is back." Kai turned toward the window, afraid of what he might see outside. Outside the cabin, a tall, dark figure was walking slowly through the trees toward the front door. The man's face was hidden in shadow, but the way he moved made Kai's blood run cold. The girl looked at Kai with frightened eyes and whispered, "He never lets anyone leave." Kai felt trapped. The cabin suddenly seemed smaller, and every shadow in the room felt alive as the footsteps came closer. Then came the sound of heavy footsteps on the wooden porch below. Each step was slow and heavy, like whoever was outside knew they had nowhere to run. Kai and the girl stood frozen in silence. Kai stared at the bedroom door as silence filled the room. Then, slowly, he heard the front door handle downstairs begin to turn. The sound was quiet, but to Kai it felt louder than thunder. Just as the front door downstairs began to open, Kai suddenly woke up lying on the cold forest ground outside. Morning sunlight shone through the trees, and the cabin was nowhere to be seen. He was completely alone. Breathing heavily, Kai looked around in confusion, thinking it had all been a nightmare. But when he opened his hand, the same folded note was there. Written on it were the same terrifying words: "Leave before."